On this episode of the Nerdiest podcast, we're going to be talking about our honest thoughts on Switch 2 so far, but we're also going to be diving into some of the recent Nintendo news, as well as our first impressions on Age of Imprisonment. Hello and welcome back to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm your host with the most, who's always sleep deprived, Mr. Nick Barrett, and I am actually not joined by Jackson today because scheduling this time of year gets a little wacky, but I use that as an opportunity to invite a very special guest on so that we can talk about Nintendo Switch 2, and that is none other than Andres Restart. Welcome back to the show. How have you been? It's been a long time since you've been here. I think the last time was... we were talking about Tears of the Kingdom, which was 2 years ago. Wow.
Really? Has it been that long?
It was way too long.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier, but yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Yeah, dude, time's just been flowing, you know, like, haven't really done, like, I was talking to, I've had, like, a similar conversation with, like, multiple, like, fellow content creator friends, like, hey, we haven't, like, done a show together in, like, a long time. Like, I guess so. I don't know. Just time's flying.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it goes, because it's been such a busy year, especially in, like, the Nintendo sphere with, like, Switch 2 and all the new games and, like, all of that. So it's very easy when you're busy to kind of just, like, hunker down and be like, I got to focus on me and my content.
Right.
So... for those who don't know, because I know we've gotten a lot of new viewers in 2 years, introduce yourself. What do you do? What's your thing?
Yeah, so my thing is talking about Nintendo. I am a Nintendo YouTuber. I talk about Nintendo news, rumors, theories, analysis. That's pretty much what I do. I'm talking a lot about Metroid Prime 4 right now. I do talk a lot about Zelda and Mario and all the other little things. I try and fit in there here and there as well. So yeah, that's I think that probably sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, and of course, as always with guests, everything will be linked in the description, so you can go check him out. Now, on the topic of talking about Nintendo games, we had a new game just come out recently in Age of Imprisonment, new Hyrule Warriors game, which I am so incredibly infatuated with. That was like my big Switch game, or I guess Switch 2 game for this year.
Okay.
And I have my own thoughts, feelings, and opinions about it, but I want to know, I'll let you go first since you're the guest. What's your general vibe on Age of Imprisonment so far?
I do believe I will finish the game. Which might feel, I don't know what you're expecting of my opinion on the game. I think it's a good game. Like, I think probably the reviews are probably about right. I'll say that in 2023, I guess the last time we did a show together, I wanted this then, like shortly after Tears of the Kingdom. Like maybe if it had come out last year, it would have felt a little bit more fresh. But when this game was announced in the April Switch 2 Direct, I technically it's a prediction I had that I got right, but it's something I gave up on like a long time ago, so I wasn't even like excited about it when it was first announced. I was like, oh, okay. But as we've gotten more information on the game and we've seen the mysterious construct and Calamo, and we now see the game running at a smooth 60 FPS, and we've seen the combos, and I did play the demo before the game came out. Yeah, my interest in the game has increased, and I have the game. I've played a few hours, and yeah, I think it's a Warriors game, so, you know, my expectations are in line with that, but I think it's a very good Warriors game. I am enjoying the story, and the gameplay is pretty good. Like, I think there's a lot of cool combos. They're pretty flashy. I actually find that the characters are interesting, and they're introducing a few new characters here. They're not as, you know, like the special Hylians that kind of fill in the gaps. They're kind of neat. So I am enjoying the game, and I'm definitely eager to play through and see everything this game has to offer.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like what's so crazy is it feels like not that long ago that we got Age of Calamity, and the like one major gripe with that game was that it was canon with an asterisk of like not
Sure.
really, because it
Yeah.
just like completely timeline split again.
Yeah.
So going into Age of Imprisonment with them saying this is going to be canon, this is going to be like it's the actual story of what happened, I still like can't fully believe them, because I'm like, how is that? I mean, like, spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom and I guess Age of Imprisonment because they're the same story, but like we know it ends with Rauru sacrificing himself and then Zelda becoming the dragon to get the Master Sword back. So it's one of those like the ending again,
Yeah.
but it's more about how do we fill in the gaps of getting there. Because as I was playing it, I did like the first couple story levels in chapter 1, and I was like, oh, this is cool. When am I going to get to play as Sonya? Like, when am I going to unlock Sonya as a character? And then she dies at in the first 5 hours. And I was like, oh, I was led to believe this happened a lot later in the story.
No, she's the
than
reason
it
that,
does.
I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe she's not the reason the imprisoning war starts, but she dies, and then the imprisoning war starts.
Right, like that's kind of the catalyst
Yeah.
on both sides, because
And
Ganondorf gets the secret stone, and then Rauru does his stuff.
I do think it's kind of neat that from trailers you're led to believe that she'll be playable because they show you scenes of her attack. Like the thing is, it's not. It is there. Like she does sync attacks, right? So
Right.
she can does a little bit of support, and so she's involved with some of the special attacks. And so from trailers we see that we're like, oh yeah, she's playable. Not actually.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like there's going to be like post game where you unlock like once you beat the story, cuz I don't know, maybe they never let you unlock her, or if they do some weird like, oh, you know what? You beat the main story, here's a bunch of like character. Kind of like how in Age of Calamity you can go back and play as Calamity Ganon, even though that doesn't make sense to play through the story with that character.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I imagine like they did all of the like they programmed movesets and sync attacks and like all that stuff. So I can't imagine they would do that to just have it be an NPC.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's not even really that many characters in the game. You know, typically Warriors games have a lot of characters.
Right.
So, you know, to just slash a very important one and never go back to her ever. I mean, maybe this is already like public knowledge, right? We just haven't gone that far. But I'll also just kind of mention that with Age of Calamity, and I didn't play the DLC, but I watched a lot of the DLC after the fact for like Zelda theories and stuff. There's a lot of really important stuff with the DLC that comes in Age of Calamity. Like teases for Tears of the Kingdom, like Tulin being the next Sage of Wind, like that's hard suggested in the DLC for Age of Calamity, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if there's even DLC for Age of Imprisonment, and maybe that involves Sonya and perhaps other things. And me just kind of like continuing to talk about this, like there are two characters that I've seen that I was extremely curious about going into this game, and I'm actually a little underwhelmed in terms of the way they've been handled, and that's Kotaka and Koeme. So for those that don't know, those are the two witches in Ocarina of Time that are like, you know, they help to raise up Ganondorf, right? Like they're important to Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time, and they're actually important to Ganondorf in Tears of the Kingdom as well. We see them as his attendants when he's swearing fealty to Rauru, but they don't say or do anything. They're just next to him in the flashbacks in Tears of the Kingdom. In Age of Imprisonment, we do see them. I haven't played through the whole game, right? But I've seen some parts. They're not named, but they have dialogue and they do play vital roles to the story. Like they're involved with the whole fake out with Rauru getting him away from the castle, and they are helping Ganondorf out, but they're not named, and I think that's it's strange, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get more fleshed out with DLC after the fact. Once this
Right, like an after the fact, Ganondorf is sealed now. Like where do we go from here? I think Koei Tecmo said they were doing updates for the game. They were going to be free. So I don't know what that all entails. They kind of just said, hey, we're going to give you free stuff to make you keep playing. And I wouldn't be shocked if they did DLC, especially given next year is Zelda's 40th, and they'll want like some stuff to kind of boost that up if they do it the same way as Mario. But
big theory
I would
time.
like to see DLC.
Big theory time. Okay, so stick with me here.
Okay.
Age of Calamity, we factually, objectively know, teased several elements in Tears of the Kingdom, right? So with that in mind, I look at Age of Imprisonment, and I'm like, okay, are they going to be teases for the next Zelda game, whatever that is, right? And I think you know what I'm getting at, right? But I've been on this train of thought that Nintendo is absolutely working on an Ocarina of Time remake, and I feel like the evidence has been mounting and mounting and mounting. Like there's so much. There's the interviews with Anuma. We saw these patents that seem to be using Navi in a modern game. And we know it's Zelda's 40th anniversary. There are even rumors coming from some credible places, or at least places that have gotten a lot right. And, you know, we had rumors that there was going to be a Ocarina of Time Link vs. Ganondorf Lego set. Nintendo confirmed that this week, you know, as another big thing with all the news. And so to me, like I think some people just refuse to believe that it's going to happen. But to me, that's like a hard scream. Like, why would you go back to Ocarina of Time of all things? Like the Deku Tree from a couple years ago, that was the Lego set for Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time. I found that extremely curious. But now they're like, no, we're done with Breath and Tears. We're doing a Link vs. Ganondorf Lego set from Ocarina of Time. And so my brain is kind of like, okay, well, I think it actually makes a lot of sense to kind of go back to Green Tunic Link for the 40th anniversary, where they will start marketing the live action movie, because they're going to move away from the Breath era, right? And then the Green Tunic Link, that's iconic, right? That's with the first Zelda movie, they're going to want to kind of tell people, to the masses, like what Zelda's about, and it's about Green Tunic Link. So having like a Lego set and maybe a game and different things like that to kind of build that brand, I think it's kind of all part of the master plan. And so my overall point here is that with the DLC that we'll presumably get for Age of Imprisonment, there's actually a lot of opportunity for them to use that as setup to come out early next year, right? Because there's some gaps where they could put out some DLC, and that DLC, just like Age of Calamity that teased like the Sage of the Winds Tulin in Tears of the Kingdom, they could do something that kind of sets up the next Zelda game, which I think might be an Ocarina of Time remake that'll either come out for the holidays right before the movie next year, or after the movie comes out in 2027. So like, what if, for example, they do a story focusing on Kotaka and Koeme in their prime, and then that kind of sets themselves up so we have like that background story of them going into an Ocarina of Time remake where they're old witches that have been around for a few hundred years.
Right.
That's my whole thing.
I see the vision. I
got
feel like
another
an
little thing
Ocarina
there.
of Time, like the remake makes the most sense because it is one of the bigger like Zelda games. So if you're gonna do something for the 40th that's not a brand new 3D game, because we know that can't, like, there's no way that's ready yet.
Yeah.
Just in the 2 years since Tears of the Kingdom, I think that makes the most sense. Even though, you know, we got it on 3DS and, you know, we got Ocarina of Time 3D, but it would be really cool if they went the Final Fantasy VII route, where they kind of give you a from-the-ground remake of Ocarina of Time, brand new, like 4K, Switch 2 exclusive. Like,
modern visuals.
That would feel like a game, one, that was built specifically for Switch 2 and is taking full advantage of that, but also that feels like a worthy, like, re-release of that game. It's not like a Twilight Princess HD 4K, Wind Waker HD. Like, we're not making it prettier, and like redoing it and then putting it on top of the Lego set and all these teases in the games. Like, you see Rauru, right? Like, he's the king of Hyrule, but he's also one of the sages from Ocarina of Time. So you kind of like set that up too, of people who have never played Ocarina of Time, who got into the franchise with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they then go look at it and say, oh, so not only were these witches from Age of Imprisonment in Ocarina of Time, but also King Rauru is he the sage, or is it just a name? Like,
well, I mean, the name has more meaning now. It's like Rauru is named after the first king of Hyrule. Like they've kind of created more context for these characters in Ocarina of Time. And another interesting thing is Ocarina of Time is what introduced the Seven Sages, and with Tears of the Kingdom, or I guess the Age of Imprisonment era, right? They go back to this motif of the Seven Sages. Like, so that's another like little interesting connection there. And we didn't talk about this live yet, right? Like, but the whole Calamo thing, like you and I both agree, that's the Deku Tree, right? And so what's 100%. Interesting about that is that Calamo, his best friend is this mysterious construct that clearly is based off some form, some spirit of the hero, right? And so if he becomes the Deku Tree that a few hundred years later is the Deku Tree in Ocarina of Time, where this boy who's left by his mother needs an environment to live, and he's like, oh, this boy reminds me of my friend from long ago. And so he creates this entire hospitable environment for that boy because it reminds him of his best friend. Like that, that's some crazy potential context, you know, that they could add in.
And I think also, like, the Great Deku Tree always having something to do with the Master Sword of like, it's very clear that this construct is powered by that little like fragment of the Master Sword.
That makes so much sense.
And that's how it got in there. So it like adds that context too of like, oh, not only does, you know, this young kid remind me of like my friend, the mysterious construct, but also there's that other element of like, well, I was tasked with looking over this sword and making sure it gets passed to the right person as time goes on. So I don't know. That's kind of my whole thing as I'm playing the game. I'm like, yeah, I know how it's going to go, but then there's these little lore nuggets that I'm like, this is really good. And maybe this is a hot take. I think both Hyrule Warriors games, Age of Calamity and Age of Imprisonment, are able to convey the story better than Breath and Tears, just because they can lock down the linear format and you can prioritize the linear storytelling over like, well, you can go to Ganon straight from the Great Plateau, or you can go to Ganon straight from the Great Sky Island. Like, and when you remove that element of like openness to it, which don't get me wrong, I love the openness, and I'm not saying either of those games have a bad story, but when you remove the openness from it, it gives you more freedom to tell the story in a linear fashion.
In a traditional way, which usually is better for most people.
Yeah.
Like I remember with Breath of the Wild, I would compare it a lot to like Pulp Fiction, because I don't know if you've seen Pulp Fiction, but Pulp Fiction tells them the story out of order. So like one of the beginning scenes of the movie chronologically is one of the last scenes of the movie, and one of the final scenes of the movie chronologically is one of the beginning scenes of the story, right? So it's like all over the place, but it's organized in a way that's very captivating. Is one of the genius things of Pulp Fiction. Now, I'm not saying that that's not how Breath of the Wild works exactly. Like you kind of experience the memories out of order, and the same for Tears of the Kingdom. It kind of depends on how you go about it, so it's not the same thing. But it's just kind of interesting that that's kind of ultimately how most people experience it, right? And I actually like with Tears of the Kingdom that they did put in a little bit of linearity, right? Because you have the opening segment, which is it's a pretty cinematic narrative, right, between the whole Ganondorf interaction and then the Great Sky Island. But then after that, it opens up. But after a certain point, when you accomplish a certain amount, there is like a final big scene that sets you up for the closing moments of the game. So they offered a little bit more linearity there in pockets, which I think ultimately helped the story more. And also because a lot of the flashbacks were away from Link, there was actual dialogue happening between characters. So I think Tears had a better story. But I think you bring up a good point, though, that with the Warriors games, though, it is an opportunity to just tell a fully linear story, so you can kind of experience that period of time and see, and they can, yeah, they do fill in the gaps a little bit, which is certainly interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how many gaps there were to fill. Just like looking at the Tears of the Kingdom memories, you get like whisked through the imprisoning war, and you kind of go from like, yeah, it's a Cliff Note summary of like, here's everything that happened, and then Zelda's in the sky, and okay, go back. But they're actually taking the time to flesh out, and you even get to see more of like Zelda's interactions with Rauru and Minoru and even Sonia before she dies, and I think that is going to make those other moments more impactful. And the other thing that I was a little concerned about, and I'm actually finding that I'm enjoying a lot more than I thought, is how they were going to do the sages. And because in Tears, they're these faceless, like, they've just got the masks on, and they tell you something secret stone, something demon king,
I hated
like, and then you move on, and you don't really think about it that much. So I thought, like, okay, well, how are they going to do this in Age of Imprisonment? Because with Age of Calamity, like, oh, we know the champions, we know who they are, and we want more time with them, but this doesn't have that. And I was like, okay, so let's go into this as these are new, fresh characters. I've only gotten to the Zora Queen and the Rito Elder. Those are the only two I've actually gotten like voiced dialogue from in their missions.
Well, we see the Goron, and he comes in for the training. Right?
Oh, you're right.
It's very brief, though.
You're right. Yeah. So, and I guess we see the Gerudo one too, because she's there at the beginning.
Yeah,
we know that's what she's gonna become later on, even though it's not like we're not there in the story yet. But I appreciated that because I went into it of like, okay, well, these are new characters that I've never interacted with, and there's something really refreshing about that, and it's just interesting to me how they're able to, 8 years after we've started this whole like era of the wild, still introduce something that's new and fresh when everyone's like, okay, well, so this is the last thing we're getting from this era of Zelda, and it doesn't just feel like a,
Yeah, I think some people think that they're not gonna they're not gonna end this era. They're just gonna continue, which I
really
think that
hope
would be.
They do.
You really hope they do continue?
Well, I hope they finish it, which Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, two of my favorite games of all time. Like, I love them. I love this iteration of Link and Zelda. But there's also that part of me that, like, wants to go back to the, like, green tunic Link, right? Like the Skyward Sword, the Ocarina of Time, the Twilight Princess. Like, I kind of want to go back to that. Like, this was a nice expansion and, like, let's break out, try something new. But I'm like, so now that you've done something new and something open, let's find the middle ground. Where is the middle ground between your Ocarina of Time and your Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Like, how do we mash that together?
That's
especially when it comes to the story.
The next new Zelda. Yeah, I agree.
I want to see them do something, like find that perfect mix of open world with linear storytelling. And I feel like they were moving in the right direction with Tears of the Kingdom. I just want to see them like actually land the plane on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you even see some of those elements in Echoes of Wisdom too. Like, I think there's a little bit more of a marriage there. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the exact same page with you. I think I was misunderstanding you at first. I thought you were saying that you want to stay in the Breath Tears era.
Oh no.
No, like I love those games. But I'm ready to move on. I'll say that I don't necessarily need it to be Green Tunic Link for the next new Zelda game. I just want it to be something different, whatever that is. Right. But I agree with you that they're probably going to go back a little bit because the point of Breath is that they really wanted to make sure they were very intentional about doing things different. Like, there were times they wanted to maybe bring back certain concepts and they're like, no. Let's make sure we're different here, right? And so Tears does incorporate some of those Zelda elements, but ultimately it's still a follow-up to Breath of the Wild, right? a new Zelda game is gonna. I agree with you. It's gonna be a marriage. Open air is not going away, but
No.
yeah,
you don't
no.
you don't sell that many copies of a game and say, well, we're not going to do that again.
And it's gonna have a new art style. Like that's I think something that people have forgotten what the Zelda team likes to do because we've been so stuck on this era for such a long time. With every new era of Zelda, there's a new art style. They do that. Then they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna do another sequel. They're not gonna make it a trilogy.
Right.
If they did, I think it would be a mistake. I mean, like I think about like what could they do that would be meaningful? Like from an antagonist perspective, like Ganondorf is done. Like
he turned into like a nuke.
Yeah, he's obliterated.
He's gone.
Right. Like I maybe if you want to do like Zonai aliens, I guess, to like explain like something that like the Zonais come back, but they're like evil Zonai aliens or something, and that's kind of like the connection. Like, oh well, the Zonai were around in Breath, and then Tears and explains the differences and why they were all gone except for Rauru and Minoru. Like that could be cool, but you could also do that in a Zelda game without using these same characters, without using the same world.
Right.
Like you could still do that. So I hope they don't. I think we're just ready to move on because it's not even just Breath and Tears. It's all the DLC. It's Age of Calamity. It's Age of Imprisonment.
Right.
It's been a long time.
Like we're tapped out on this Zelda.
And they even use the same world for Tears of the Kingdom. Like if they had done like a Majora's Mask thing where it was like a different place, I think maybe I would be more open to maybe them doing something else. Even then, I still probably wouldn't because it's been such a long time.
Right.
But yeah, I'm ready for something new, and I'm ready for something that takes better advantage of the hardware, right? Like I think the style for Breath and Tears works for Switch hardware, but the Switch 2 is like 10 times more powerful according to NVIDIA. They can definitely choose a different art style that is more demanding and more detailed.
Like they can push a little bit. I always go back to that Wii U tech demo. Like that I always go back to like that would be cool because to me that feels like a good middle ground between like a little more realism, but also you still have that like stylized, like stylistic art style. And it like it has character. It doesn't just feel like, insert movie simulator 3000 on PlayStation and Xbox. Like it's not hyper realistic. It still has personality to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I think the new art style is arguably what I'm most excited about in a new Zelda game is just to see where they go, what they do. Because I get to be like locked in on the Zelda like cycle because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were the first two games where I really got to follow it like from announcement to release. All the ones before that had either come out or I was like 10, so I wasn't really paying attention to the like hype cycle or whatever. So now I'm like, okay, give me that teaser. Give me that, like, I'm ready. Give me like 3 little music notes and call it a day. And I'll sit here and theorize about it for 2 years before you give me a, screenshot in a direct. Like, so, and like I said, that's not to say I dislike this era of Zelda, but I do think I know for a lot of people overstayed its welcome, but for me, I'm like, okay, I've gotten my fill. 2 3D games, 2 Hyrule Warriors, DLC for 2 of those games. I'm good. I am fed. I'm ready to move on to the next meal when it comes to Zelda. So,
and I actually think, assuming we're right about this remake for Ocarina of Time, like that could be like a really good like testing ground for the hardware, like kind of like the Wind Waker HD, because Wind Waker HD they used to kind of equate themselves with the Wii U hardware and test out some like a visual engine. And what's kind of interesting about this is that there's a rumor coming from Nash Weedle, who I think has gotten like a whole bunch of stuff right this year. It's kind of ridiculous. And he talked about how a couple years ago they were internal Nintendo. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he indicated. That this is an internal project that they went through a art style change for this Ocarina of Time remake project. which to me is exciting because like, oh, if they're like doing an art style change, to me that says, okay, this is not like a remaster thing. This is this is an ambitious visual project at least. And me just think, and that may also kind of go into this idea is like, okay, well maybe the reason they went through an art style change is because at one point maybe they were thinking about it as a Switch 1 project, but it's actually gonna be a Switch 2 project, and so they have to think about what they're gonna do visually and test out what the system's capable of, and then that would also, you know, go into whatever the next new Zelda game is a few years later.
Right, because if anyone's gonna push what Switch 2 can do, it's going to be the Zelda team and Monolith Soft. They're going to like really push like what can we do?
Retro,
like where are our limits at? Like
8 years from now.
Hopefully that doesn't take 8 years. Like,
I don't think it will. No. We'll see.
I want the Ocarina of Time remake to be true so bad cuz that is in my top 5 Zelda games. Like I remember playing all the way through it on 3DS, I'm like, I want it to be real so that I can play it on Switch. Because I've like wanted to replay it, but I don't necessarily want to do it on my 3DS or do it on Switch Online. Like I want to just go through it. So I'm like, please, Nintendo. Yeah. Next year, February Direct, just, you know, big end card is just... boom.
That would be crazy. I do think they need like a big announcement for the next Direct. A lot of people were mad at me for my thoughts on the recent Direct. Like I don't think that this recent Direct was bad, but I don't think it revealed anything that's like Megaton level for next year. Some people are like, oh, we're getting Tomodachi Life and Pokopia. Like, yeah, and they're gonna sell a lot. Like I get it, but Pokopia and Tomodachi Life is not 3D Mario or Legend of Zelda or Smash. Like it's not something that's going to spark hype conversations. It might spark controversy, and there are going to be fans that are going to buy it. It's just different. It doesn't create the same kind of buzz, you know. And I think that the Switch 2 is doing really well. We've heard about the numbers. Like the numbers are great, right? And I also think Metroid Prime 4 kind of is like that buzz game, but because Nintendo wasn't really marketing it that much by that point, people don't really feel like it. Now, I think maybe some people are starting to see that Metroid Prime 4 is like that kind of like super high budget, ambitious Nintendo title. But that comes out in December. Once we're in 2026, we get that earlier Direct. If it's not Zelda, it's gotta be something. There's gotta be something, and I don't think another casual game is gonna be the right thing. Like there can be another casual game in the Direct that's announced. I just think they need to announce one more like core centric title that's gonna cause buzz.
Right, because I think about like if you're trying to pull your bigger audiences to Switch 2, like I know I have a handful of friends who are waiting to get it until the next like big Zelda thing. Like they're waiting for the next 3D Zelda. But if there was a from the ground up Ocarina of Time remake, well, that might change some minds. Like that might get you to be like, okay, well, I need it this year instead of waiting until, you know, the next 3D Zelda. So I think they do need a heavy hitter because when they revealed Switch 2, we had Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, and I was like, wow, that's great. Those games are out and like behind us now. Like, so in looking forward, they do need something. Is there anything like Mario exclusive that's not Mario Kart? Like, because
what do you mean?
I don't think there is. Like, there's no like a platformer. Like, even the like there's Switch 2 editions of like Mario Wonder and Odyssey got an update. But like
you mean a Switch 2 exclusive Mario game?
Yeah.
It was Mario Tennis Fever.
I guess that's true.
But that's a sports
I don't know.
title.
Is a sports game really going to turn heads?
No, that's my point though, right? Like that's not it. Now, you know, I think some people might hear us talking like, "Yo, what about Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave?" That's going to be a good game, but that's not like an ambitious Nintendo-made title.
Right. Sorry, Fire Emblem fans.
And that sounds insulting. I think Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is going to be one of the best games next year, to be clear. I think it's going to be a really good game. Fire Emblem Three Houses, one of my favorite games on Switch. I need to go back and finish Engage. I enjoyed that one too. But Fortune's Weave is not going to create. It's not going to get a lot of people to buy the system. Fire Emblem fans, sure. So there's got to be something else.
Yeah, I think that February Direct's gonna go crazy. At least I hope it does. Because they gotta have something. I know they have like a pretty general like, oh, here's what's coming out next year, but they need to start just like, here's all our stuff. And I know there was somewhere, I think it was Furukawa said in an interview that development times are taking longer as the games get like. They need more polish. They need like more graphics. Like all like as you go up in hardware, the games take longer to make. Which might be instead of a Switch game every month, it's a Switch 2 game every other month. Like, which takes you down. You only need 6 games a year instead of 12 games a year, and then you use like the Switch, like the lower games. Which I'm not like concerned about release cadence because I think even if you take Switch out of the picture, they still have like lower budget games that you can throw up, like your Tomodachi Life and your Kirby and like that kind of stuff that will fill the slate. But they do need those like, give me my ambitious Ocarina of Time remake. Like,
give me a new Star Fox.
Yeah, give me something that's gonna make me look. Oh, I can only get that on Switch 2.
Yeah, we need another Donkey Kong.
And I need to buy it.
Another Donkey Kong level game, like a new Star Fox, like a new ambitious Star Fox game, or hey, give us a new F-Zero, Pikmin 5.
Kid Icarus Uprising remake?
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Bring in the mouse controls?
4. I actually think Luigi's Mansion 4 very likely is coming out next year. I thought
I agree.
I thought it was going to maybe come out this year.
Dude, that would have been a crazy schedule.
Oh yeah,
that would have been nuts.
But I mean, what they had instead was Mario Galaxy 1+2 and Hyrule Warriors that did make it out for this year because that was up for debate.
Right.
And the other thing is that after Bonanza they were kind of light on the schedule, and now to close the year it's like 5 games in 2 months. It's
condensed. I was like, man, we got Mario Galaxy and Pokemon and Zelda and Kirby and Metroid. I'm like, wow. That's
like
a lot.
What is it, like October? It was the beginning of October was Galaxy 1 and 2. Then October 16th was Legends of ZA. Then November 6th, Hyrule Warriors. Now next week, Kirby Air Riders. And then 2 weeks after that is Metroid Prime 4. Like that is...
Yeah, that's insane.
It's 2 to 3 weeks between each game.
I mean...
it's been a lot of news during this period of time as well. Like we got the big Animal Crossing update that's coming out in January. They showed off the mega the ZA Legends DLC that's coming out a week after Metroid Prime 4. So that's even more stuff, and like there's just been a lot. And we got the Mario Galaxy movie trailer this week.
Yeah. Well, before we jump full in news, you have anything else you want to add on Age of Calamity? I know we went off on like a tangent there, but it was good. Or not Age of Calamity, Age of Imprisonment.
Age of Imprisonment. I mean, I'm enjoying the game. I think kind of the allure of the game is to kind of like do some Zelda theorizing, right? Look for those little lore bits. But it's a good game. Yeah, if you like Warriors games, I think, and you'll love it. If you like hack and slash action games, and you like Zelda, it's a no-brainer. If you don't like action hack and slash games, and you don't need any more Zelda lore, then you're probably gonna be don't. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's not for you. If you
it's
don't
not
fit
a new
that
Zelda
category.
game, right? Like don't confuse this for a new Zelda adventure because it's not that either.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. The gameplay is fun. I think they've done enough to make it interesting with like the sync strikes and adding in the Zonai tools. Like I feel like that's shaking up the gameplay a little bit. And they're making the most of the character roster that they have. So I'm interested to see where it goes. As of right now, I think I'm gonna 100% it. I 100% at Age of Calamity. It's going to be a pain because I'm going to have to go back and get all those stupid Korok seeds, but it's whatever.
I think I'm just going for story completion. I don't have time. Like Kirby's coming out in a week. I actually want 100% Galaxy 2, and then there's Galaxy 1 to 100%, and then I haven't finished Legend of ZA, and then Metroid Prime 4 is going to take precedent above all those other games, which I will probably 100% more than once. So that's and then we're going to be next year, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff. I haven't even gotten the Donkey Kong DLC. Like I want it.
I didn't do the Donkey Kong DLC because I was kind of like, I just did story completion on Bonanza and called it a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a good game. I love it. Don't get me wrong. If I ever like don't have anything to play, it's one of those games like I'd go back like 6 months to a year from now and just go get some bananas and then, you know,
I think
kind of put it in the same category as Zelda. Like, oh, I'll do it, and you know, I'll go back to it every now and then, and you know, re-up and then move on to the next thing. Like if I'm waiting for the next game, I'm fine with 100%ing Age of Imprisonment because my next game after this is Final Fantasy VII, which is like mid-January. So I've got time between now and January to
Oh man, 7 remake
and play all that.
And also Resident Evil 9 Requiem's coming out. Like
Oh, that's true.
I want to get 7 remake. I have it on PlayStation, but I'm really excited for the change for like the just how well. I played 7 remake on PlayStation 4. I have not played Intergrade, and I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact that Intergrade is an enhanced version that looks even better, with more stuff. So that's on Switch too, and it looks great, right? So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for Resident Evil 9 Requiem that's running at 60 FPS on Switch too. And I'm a big Resident Evil fan. So that's those are early
that's
next year
January
titles.
and February.
Yeah. So I got a lot of work to do. So I don't think I'll 100% it. And I'll say for the DK Isle DLC, I think it's going to be one of those things where I don't know when, but at some point I'm just going to, you know, go back to the Bonanza. I'm like, oh, that's right. I never explored DK Isle. Okay, let's spend $20 and do it.
Right. Like, it's one of those, I'll get it eventually. So,
yeah.
That's fair. Well, speaking of news, they actually had a lot of stuff this week. The aforementioned Zelda Lego set, which we don't really know much about that other than it's happening. And it's happening in 2026.
What I think might be interesting to add, right, is that because we had a rumor from the BrickTap community, right? These rumors are leaks, basically, right? Like that's Lego sets are leaked pretty consistently. So whenever we get like a Lego leak, we're like, oh, that's probably real. And sure enough, this one was. So what was initially reported when it was just a rumor was that it would be a Ganondorf diorama with 1,003 pieces coming out in March 2026. So if that all holds true, this is coming out relatively soon.
Yeah, I figured because normally because I've kind of like watched the timeline on how they tease and announce these bigger IP sets. Like they did it for One Piece, they did it for Animal Crossing, they did it for the last Zelda set. Like they'll drop the teaser that it's happening, and then in January they'll spin back around and be like, oh, here's the full reveal, like pre-order start tomorrow or whatever. And then it'll come out in March. Like they'll give you a decent window to pre-order and then get it.
And so they were teasing that, like, because if the focus is Ganondorf or Ganon, like they showed the transformation or just the shadow of it, you know. So they were kind of like hard teasing it. So like the main thing might just be like I'm curious, are we gonna have like some castle pieces? Like, are we gonna build the environment and still build Ganon and then Lincoln's? Like, are we just gonna build that scene? I hope that's what it is. Like, we just building
me
that
too.
whole scene.
Where it's like, which I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they could go because that scene, like, you're kind of in this like broken up part of the castle that's very like flat and like. So I'm interested to see how they make that, but if it's only like 1,000 pieces, then that's not like, I just looked it up. The Deku Tree is 2,500 pieces, so this is noticeably smaller than that. And I think looking over at my Deku Tree, it will pair very nicely, and I think they'll find a way to like make the terrain a little better. But then also give you like, go ahead and build Ganondorf and like, or build Ganon and then have a Ganondorf like figure. So they might give you both, and
you want to know what I would love though? This is kind of funny.
Castle?
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. What I was thinking is like, what if they eventually release a Lego set that is Light Dragon Zelda with Link riding versus Ganon Dragon, like in the air, maybe Hyrule Cat. Like that would be, I don't know how you do it, but that would be an extremely epic Lego set.
Oh yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah,
I would love Hyrule Castle, Temple of Time, like Lego Zelda. If you would have gone back and told like 10-year-old me that we got Lego Zelda sets, I would have lost my mind.
I mean, it's kind of like almost like, you know, like for Christmas how they have all those like ornaments that are like houses and you can build like a whole village.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that, but for Zelda Lego.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And
like you build like Hyrule.
You got the Deku Tree, you have the Hyrule Castle, you have the Temple of Time, Castle Town. Like, we're talking about thousands of dollars here.
There's a lot of money to be made here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, are you gonna get the Ganondorf diorama?
Well, maybe. I think I've been in a position lately where I don't want to just like shell out a few $100s for a Lego set. Like I didn't buy the Deku Tree one. But a few months from now, maybe it'll be in a better place where I could be like, you know what? Sure. Let's buy both.
Yeah, because Legos are not
honestly,
cheap
it sounds
anymore.
really fun though. Like I would love to just have an afternoon to just not be super chill and build these sets. You know.
The Deku Tree build is actually really good. Like it. As experienced as I am with putting sets together, it was a little complicated. Like it took me a couple days to get it done, but it was good. And by the end of it, I did feel like it was worth the, what is it, like $300? Yeah.
Right. That's
it
more
was
expensive
worth
than the Switch.
the $300 that I paid for it. Yeah.
Like
the Switch
crazy
price.
Yeah.
So that's that. They dropped a new trailer for the Mario Galaxy movie. Thoughts, feelings, opinions on that?
So, you know, I feel like some people are probably expecting me to make like a whole like analysis on it, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because like I've seen like personally like my audience in the past when I've covered movies doesn't seem to be as interested. I don't know. Maybe it's more of a mainstream thing. But like I watched the trailer and I liked it. I was like, oh cool, there's a lot of 3D Mario references. Cool. That's pretty much my take on it. I do think Rosalina might be Princess Peach's sister. That's maybe like my big theory.
All right.
Their designs are very similar.
They are, and I know they never like fully clarified in the games what it was. So I'm interested to see if they actually clarify it in the movie. Like if they
but the other thing
take
is
that
the
creative
movie
freedom.
continuity isn't necessarily the continuity of the games, right?
Right.
So there's that to consider. And I do know that for Princess Peach in the movie, the prior one, her origin is unknown. Like she came into the Mushroom Kingdom as a baby or a little kid. And when Mario talks to her about it, she talks about, oh, who knows where I'm from? And she talks about this, she talks about there being so many galaxies out there. Like it was clearly like a reference to Mario Galaxy. And now in hindsight, it was perhaps foreshadowing for this movie and maybe also foreshadowing her origins. And we also see in the movie that she's the one flying off into space where Rosalina is. Mario and Luigi, from what we can tell, are still exploring like just the outer reaches of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Right. Yeah, so. I'm interested to see where they take it. I love the trailer. I loved the first movie. Yeah. The one thing, and I guess this is entirely preventable on my part, the one thing I don't want them to do is show too much in the trailers. I feel like they gave away a lot, even just in the main trailers that played in the theaters. Not if you want to watch all the different TV spots and like all the different things. Like even
some
in
of
the
that's
main
just like
trailers,
bonus stuff that's outside the movies, which I think is cool.
Right. I am hopeful they kind of keep a little tighter leash on what they show. And I don't know if I had to say something else. Maybe, I don't know. I hope the pacing is a little better, because the first movie felt like it moved, like everything until they got to the Mushroom Kingdom was great, and then once they got there, it was like breakneck speed.
Very
we got to get through all of this.
It was a roller
So I'm
coaster.
hoping they give it room to breathe a little more, and just let it be its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I would like that too. Now, I don't want to act like I know what they're gonna do. But I do understand why they did that with the first movie.
Right.
And I mean, it worked, because the movie is like the second most successful animated movie of all time.
Yeah, it's up there.
That's a hell of a thing to do with your first like real movie in years. So they were extremely successful. Like maybe the critical reviews aren't great, but Nintendo fans loved it, and it reached an extremely large audience, which is exactly what Nintendo wanted it to do. The Mario movie did its job, and so I think about that, and well, it reached a large audience, probably in large part because it was extremely fast paced. It was super digestible. And so if they make a slower paced movie, they are perhaps impacting their chances to reach a larger audience. So I would like it. I just don't know.
Right.
I mean, but maybe there's more of a happy balance though. Maybe they can slow it down a little bit, or maybe because they've already kind of explained the world, given this is a sequel, they can just spend a little bit more time just, having a little bit better pacing, to your point. Yeah, they don't have to spend as much time just explaining everything.
Yeah, they'll tweak it a little bit. That's really all I want. Like, I don't need it to be this super like,
Lord
3 hour
Rings.
long. Yeah, no, like I just
that'd be great though.
Instead of trying to put like 12 story beats in there, maybe let's try like 8, so that the 8 have a little more room. Like if that makes sense, like to put it in a like quantifiable number. Just shrink it down, like not a ton, but just a little bit, so you still have a lot, but the stuff you have gets to breathe a little more.
I think movie balance in general is very tough. Like I see it with movies that even win like, incredible awards. Like, sometimes you want to have the right amount of beats and you want to take the right amount of time, but you don't want to go too long. Like, I think when I'm watching a movie and I'm like, oh, this is taking a very long time, not good, I mean, there are the times where I'm enjoying the movie so much, I'm like, oh man, this movie's not over yet, thank God. But there's it's a tough balance. So we'll see what they do. I bet it's not going to be that long of a movie though.
Yeah, I saw a fake tweet that was like, it's 66 minutes long, and I'm like, yeah, that's not.
Well, that's not true.
No, that's not ain't
true.
No way.
No. It's got to be at least.
And then
an
of course
20.
I go to the comments and people are like, "Oh, this is fake," and I'm like, "Yeah, I assumed
minimum 80 minutes.
Minimum, if not 90. Like,
yeah, I prefer like 100 plus.
Yeah, and I feel like 90 is pretty standard for like a family movie. Well, I don't know. I put family in air quotes. Like, it is a family movie, but that's pretty standard if you look at like Pixar and DreamWorks and other Illumination movies.
Sure.
90 minutes is like your standard. So if they go a little above that, I think we'll be good and golden there. So last news point I want to hit before we jump into our thoughts on Switch 2. Metroid Prime 4, we got a 7-minute overview trailer and a lot of previews. So, as the resident Metroid expert,
sure,
what break it down for me, because I am not the resident Metroid expert. I have played Dread, and that is it.
So I would say Nintendo put together what to me basically is a Nintendo Direct. It gave us the information of a Nintendo Direct. It was very concise. It was the same length as the Mario Galaxy Movie Direct, which is funny by a difference of 3 seconds. Yet there's way more information on Prime 4 than there was about the Mario movie, right? It's at the end of the day, it's just labels. I would say the trailer, it did everything I expected it to. It gave us a brief summary of what's going on. It introduced some new elements. Something I was really hoping for Uh, I mean, the gameplay just looks incredible. Like gameplay, like the graphics, the polish, it all seems fantastic. They showed some new bosses. They showed a desert boss, which I think is actually a big deal because there's been a lot of conversation that there's not that much to do in the desert. Yet we see that there's desert field bosses. There's ruins to explore. There's Lemorn things to find. I actually think that the gameplay of the desert looked pretty fast paced and fun. From what we saw, we got to see an expanded map, just how big the world is. Pretty much in my opinion, everything about the game looks absolutely stellar. Where there is maybe it's not maybe, it's definitely a big talking point right now, are the companion characters, the Federation troopers, because Metroid games are known for their isolation, and you have these characters that you talk to you and you help protect and you do puzzles with at certain points in the game. And the previews have come out, and it seems like most press actually hated Mackenzie, the first companion character you run into. They find these very annoying. But otherwise, previews have reported very nice things about the game. Like it's a huge technical achievement, extremely polished, super fluid, looks great, plays great. Like everything, basically, all the previews of the game are like, yeah, this game's amazing, except for we hate Mackenzie. He's annoying. But what's interesting about that is that a friend of the channel, Nintendo Land, put out a couple collected clips of Mackenzie scenes, and I saw them and I'm like, this guy's funny.
That's what I got too. I
Yeah.
saw the clip, I was like, this is kind of funny. I'm into it.
Right. And so I'm kind of left wondering, all right, is this more of a situation where people have certain expectations of what a Metroid game should be, and Metroid Prime 4 is not Metroid Prime 1, 2, or 3. It's Metroid Prime 4. And so Metroid Prime 4 has this vast desert. Metroid Prime 4 has these psychic abilities. It has very fast, fluid, responsive controls. It's a lot more modern. It has a lot more voice acting. It has a lot more interaction with these characters, which I think is going to do a great job for telling a more captivating story to the masses. So I think Metroid Prime 4 may have been made to actually sell more. So they gave us a vast world to explore. They still have all the typical Metroid gameplay, but there is that vast open area, right, with the desert. And they have that Viola. And now they have all these characters, some of which can help you out a little bit, explain things more, make it easier for people who aren't used to first-person gameplay to figure out what's going on. I think press are looking at it from the perspective of a hardcore gamer, but looking at it from the perspective of a more casual audience, characters like these can really help the experience. And if there's a story there and you get attached to these characters, if you watch the overview trailer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you heard those beats of the characters talking about, oh, I miss my family, I want to get back home. That's they're tugging at the heartstrings here. You're gonna care about these people and you're gonna be worried about their lives. So that's another element that you don't necessarily usually deal with in a Metroid game. It's different, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it actually could be a really good thing for the series overall because it could appeal to a larger audience. It does set things up for how they could handle a Metroid movie, for example, which would then further, expand the series. And I think we kind of have to wait and see how it impacts the overall gameplay loop, because if there still are the moments of isolation, then it's just kind of like a full package, right? You get the characters that you care about, the meaning, you get the story, you get the openness, you get the Metroid mazes, you get the power-ups, the limitations, and breaking through them, you get the epic boss fights that we've seen, you get the isolation, the atmosphere. What if it's just a full package? It just kind of depends on how it all kind of comes together. So I'm personally extremely optimistic because Nintendo's been working on this for years. Retro Studios has never released a bad game. I don't think they're going to this time. So I feel pretty good about it. I think we have a banger on our hands.
Yeah, I watched the overview trailer as someone who, like I said, I've only played Dread, and I started Prime Remastered a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think I got 2 hours in, and then Zelda came out, and I was like, oh, okay, well,
Sure.
that's going to take a back burner for now. But what had sold me on Prime 4 before, at least enough to be like, oh, I'll put it on my Christmas list, was it looks great. 4K, like 60 FPS, mouse controls, like that looks great. Like I think I'll have fun with it, but I was missing like that other key thing that like puts me in the definitely gonna buy category. And seeing this trailer, I feel like I got that, where there is like there's more to it than just, oh well, you're gonna go solve puzzles and like, you know, do all this stuff, but to have these other characters who are also strained with you and give you someone to get attached to, someone to kind of break it up just a little bit every now and then. Like you said, if it can strike that perfect balance of having the isolation moments, which it did seem that way from the trailer, where it's not like these people are with you all the time. Like you'll save one in this area, and then when you move on to the next area, like maybe that area doesn't have a person and you go like a whole area without someone. Like it feels like there is a good balance there. And I think that's what I was looking for, was for them to market the story to me a little more. Because when I've looked at other like Metroid games and other trailers, I didn't feel like they did a good job at marketing the story to me. Yeah. And that's what I was missing. So for them to come out with this trailer and be like, hey, here's how Samus ends up here, but also because of this thing that happened, all these other people are here. And it also shocked me like how good it looks, like just visually.
Right.
And how they kind of hit that balance of like the realism, but also having its own unique art style. And like, it's not just a hyper realistic like movie simulator.
Yeah.
And
what'd you think of like the characters' faces? Like I was like taken back by how, like, it's like, oh, this is a Nintendo game. Like,
yeah, me too. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is whoa, okay. So I'm excited for it a lot more so than I think I was before.
I'm excited to hear that.
The only thing I personally would have wanted, and I know it would never happen because it never happens for games like this, is a third person mode. Like, I would have loved to have like just the ability to sit outside of Samus's suit and just like be able to look around, but I know that's not the type of game it is, so it's like, okay, like it's not a deal breaker.
But you do have Viola though.
That's true. Like you do get outside of it for the bike. So
and we can use Viola outside the desert. Like I don't think it's every place. Like they don't, because they do mention that in places you can use Viola, and they show clearly it's not just a desert. So you're gonna get a little bit of that, but I guess you're not gonna get it everywhere. But then there are also like there's the morph ball stuff, right? So you can actually transform into the morph ball, which technically is third person at all times. So technically you can go third person at all times, but I know what you mean. You probably want to be like in third person as Samus in humanoid form.
Right.
Yeah. And I think they do have like from the prior trailer, Survive trailer, there's a few shots that show like Samus like staring off into an environment in third person briefly. I mean, you know, I'll say this: I personally don't think they should have a third person mode from a gameplay perspective, right? Like in terms of the shooting, like the other stuff, yes,
right.
But we don't know if it's not in there, right? Like for example, Fallout and Skyrim, like they don't really advertise the games in third person, but they are options.
Right.
So
do you think there's like some secret direct between now and release date, or do you think this is because they could pop off with like another direct and be like, hey, all this story stuff and we added a multiplayer mode, so let's talk about that. Like,
yeah. So
or do you think this is it?
I'm inclined to think this is it, but I do not want to rule it out 100%. Because, well, Kirby Air Riders just got its final trailer. Its overview trailer, right? There might be a launch trailer when it comes out, but yeah, there will be a launch trailer when it comes out. What is Nintendo going to talk about between now and then? They just did the Mario Galaxy movie trailer, so what's left?
Right.
So I actually was kind of thinking, you know, I put out like a Metroid Prime 4 Direct Predictions video last Sunday, because of the previews this week. I was like, all right, well, the previews are on Friday. I think something weird's going on because normally previews are Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Now there were things going on, but it wasn't a Metroid Prime 4 Direct. But I feel like this overview trailer basically is a Direct.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm kind of like, what else would they do? Like they could tell us more, right, in a more slower paced fashion. I'm kind of, what's interesting is that now that we have the overview trailer, I almost don't want a Direct. Like I'm gonna cover it because it's my job. But I'll say this to be more clear. If we had not gotten the overview trailer today, I would have been thinking, okay, there is some kind of presentation happening next week or the week after. Well, one, because they would have needed to, right? But also two and three, there have been whispers to me that there is supposed to be something. I think that something was probably this though. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'll tell you that Paul Gale put out a poll. This is public, right? Paul Gale put out a poll, and he was tweeting out, when do you think there'll be a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, right? And he was like, November 18th, November 26th, never. Like, I don't know. Like, and he has a history of, like, teasing things to come with polls. Now, maybe he was thinking it was what he heard is this, right? I don't know that. So, I'll say that Nintendo's going to continue to market the game between now and then, and we're going to continue to learn more about Metroid Prime 4. It's probably going to be like, I mean, if you remember, like with Tears of the Kingdom, there was just like little things, right? But like us,
like little drops here and there. Like, oh, here's this thing, like a 1 minute little clip of like Samus does this.
I'm going to see a commercial, and that's going to become a 20-minute video because I'm going to analyze every frame, right? So like right now with between the previews, the website update, and the new overview trailer, like I have like, I don't know, like that might be personally enough for me to for 3 weeks of analysis, but I imagine there's going to be more.
Right. So, yeah, that's fair. I feel like, I don't know, it's not like I expect them to just come out swinging with like, oh, hey, by the way, here's a multiplayer thing. Like I don't think that's
I'll
in
tell
the
you
cards
this
for this one.
We have seen the back of the box art, and it says one player.
Yeah. So then there's definitely not like a secret.
Yeah. Unless that was like an outdated back of box art, which I kind of don't think it was.
Now the next game, Metroid Prime 5.
I mean, if you have these Federation troopers, right? Like there's definitely material for it. And we've seen multiplayer before. Maybe it's a spinoff. Maybe what they do is like they have the Metroid Prime like campaigns, but then they also do Metroid Prime multiplayer games as well. Like they have a Hunter series.
Yeah, they could.
It's possible.
I've heard if you've never played Metroid, or like a Metroid Prime game, don't play 1 through 3. You can just start with 4.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like I was worried, like, oh no, I need to play 1, 2, 3 to get into 4.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's like Zelda or Mario. It's like, oh, a new Zelda game. Like you don't have to play any other prior Zelda game to like, oh, okay, like. Yeah, you might have more of an appreciation for the lore, I guess. But it goes both ways, right? Like if you play Twilight Princess first, and then you go back and play the Wind Waker, and then you play Skyward. It's like you can play all the 3D Zeldas in any order, or 2D Zeldas in any order. It doesn't really hamper your experience in any way, right? I would say it's the same thing for Metroid. So
okay. Well, that's good to know. That gives me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to finish, Prime Remastered before 4 comes out, and then I have to watch a summary of 2 and 3, and then which
no, you don't.
Now
have to.
Then I know I don't have to. That makes me feel a little better about it, and I kind of wish that was a little bit more of the forefront of their marketing, because
maybe there is still a direct because of that. Then
surely I can't be the only one who thinks that. Like, I cannot be the only one who thinks, do I need to play the other 3 to play Metroid Prime 4? So hopefully, like if they can clear that up, I think that would also help get more people into it, of knowing like, oh, okay, this is just a new jumping in point. And if I want to be on the ground floor for 4, 5, and 6, like we'll just start here.
It's an interesting thing to consider. Like, I wonder if Nintendo's thinking, like, the marketing was thinking about that at all. I have to imagine they are. And so it kind of brings to question, like, are they going to release Prime 2 and 3? I think if there's a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, if they announce a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, I'm going to be like, oh, maybe we are going to get Prime 2 and 3 before the game comes out.
Which would be a real tight turnaround.
Yeah, the thing is, those games are pretty big. So, like, it's not... Okay, so they actually did do this for Pikmin 4. Like, they put out Pikmin 1 and 2 2 weeks before Pikmin 4 came out. But the thing about that is, with Pikmin 1 and 2, you can finish pretty quick. Metroid Prime 2 and 3, not so much. Yeah. And in the art book that came out a couple weeks ago, Tanabe, the producer, actually had an aside where he mentioned he would like to see Metroid Prime 2 get remade because he wants to see the multiplayer modernized. I think there was an insinuation that there would be online play in a remake, which I think is an interesting choice of words because Metroid Prime 1 technically wasn't remade, it was remastered, even though it's like the most ambitious remaster. Like, visually it is remade, but in terms of like its bones, it's a remaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just kind of like in a wait and see. Like, as the information comes, I'm just gonna analyze it because I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'll tell you that I think this overview trailer was actually really good marketing. I think it was really well done. I want to ask you about this. How'd you feel about the music?
Oh, music was great. I love that, like, sci-fi musical aesthetic, and I feel like that even as I was playing like Dread and Remastered, I feel like the music was always the highlight, and it really helps sell you on what's going on. And as I kept listening to it, I was like, oh, I need to go find that on YouTube later. Like, I need to go find that music track on YouTube later. So I thought it was good, and I think they're gonna cook.
I think they are too. The only concern to me, I guess, it's not even really. I'm concerned that other people are going to hate it just because of the companions. Like, I feel like the way the press reacted to the game today, like, I'm worried that they're going to not review this game fairly because it's like, oh, this is not what I wanted in a Metroid game.
Right.
Which I think is interesting, but on the flip side, I think all this conversation is actually going to be really good for the game in terms of sales. Like, because you're not really that much of a Metroid fan. So to hear you, like, say you saw this information, you're like, oh, I'm now sold. Like, that's
right. Like,
that's
it's
huge.
moved the needle in a substantial direction. And that's just this. That's not 3 more weeks of, here's a clip here, here's a clip there, here's, maybe here's, like, 15 minutes of gameplay. Like, so they could do more and they could sell more between now and then. And I think positioning it in the beginning of December also helps. Because, one, it gives Switch owners something to play. Because if you really think about it, they haven't had anything since Pokemon. So they didn't get any games in November.
I completely forget about that. Like,
I do too. Like, I'm like, oh, that's not my problem anymore. Like, I'm still getting games. I don't know what you guys are dealing with. But it gives them something to do. But it also, they're really pushing, like, 4K 60, 1080p 120, mouse mode. Like, you can play it on Switch, but you can play it even better on Switch too. And, like, that's kind of the sell there. And I think putting it in this, like, holiday season will help it do better. And will hopefully position it in a better light. So, like, as everyone's doing all their Christmas shopping, like, here it is, this brand new game that, just released a couple days ago. Like, boom, there it is. So I'm hopeful. I'm probably not going to get it launch day just because, like, I put it on my Christmas list. So anything that's on my list, I don't, like, buy between now and then. But even if I don't get it for Christmas, it'll probably end up in my collection at some point. Like, it'll be one of those, I will get it eventually and play through it. If there's, like, a drought, March through May of Switch games, I'll be like, oh, this is a perfect time to get Metroid Prime 4. So that's my thoughts on Prime 4, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think we covered it.
All right.
It's gonna be the best game ever. That's the only thing I'll add. It's really good.
That's fair. I'm really sad it's not going to get to go to the Game Awards because it's too late.
Yeah, but also, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
It's going to be good. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true. So, as we move into our main and final topic of the day, Nintendo Switch 2, the brand new console that we've been talking about games for, because Nintendo Switch 2 has games, unlike a certain next-gen console that I know of but will not name out loud. So there's been a lot of thought and a lot of conversation and a lot of opinions about Switch 2 on the, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and to the other end of this is going to destroy the gaming industry as we know it. So, given that, where do you stand with Switch 2? What are like your overall thoughts, feelings, opinions so far? What was like your launch lineup? Like, how was all that for you?
Yeah, my launch lineup was Mario Kart, obviously. I also picked up Cyberpunk, and I made sure to get a GameCube controller and enjoy that GameCube app with Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero. And that was my launch lineup. But, you know, I've picked up every Nintendo game that's come out since. I don't think I've bought any Switch 2 third parties beyond Cyberpunk yet. But as we talked about earlier, I'm probably going to get Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil for the console. But in terms of how I feel about the Switch 2, very good. Like, I love it. It's a really good system. I really actually love the new screen and how big it is. Like, it's very nice to kind of like just play in handheld mode. Like the other day, I was playing Hyrule Warriors. I played mostly in TV mode, but I took it out, and because, like, you know, sometimes like I might want to put on like a basketball game, you know, or if, let's say, I'm like watching on Disney Plus, like I'm actually like rewatching Bleach right now, and Disney Plus has ads because I don't feel like overspending for the higher tier version, which is like $40 for Disney Plus. Just seems like ridiculous, or 35, whatever it is. So I get ads even though I'm paying. And so, like, sometimes, like, all right, well, I'll just, you know, play for a minute or two at a time and kind of go back and forth. So, you know, I had it handheld, and I'm just holding it like, oh, wow, this is nice. Like, it's a very clean, colorful, vibrant, sharp screen, fluid. And I think the system is a lot more ergonomic than the Switch 1. Like, I haven't run into issues. Like, with Switch 1, I would play it for extended periods, and I felt like my hands were kind of going numb based off just like the shape of the controller. I haven't played Switch 2 as much up to this point because, you know, I haven't had it for as long, but I haven't had that issue with Switch 2, even though it's like a bigger device. Like, it's just more comfortable to hold. And I even think about like with Galaxy 2, I played that with the Joy-Cons. I'd never liked playing with the Joy-Cons on Switch 1. You know, like maybe with the grip, because when I first got the Switch, I didn't have a Pro Controller immediately. So I played Breath of the Wild with the grip at first until I got the Pro Controller, and I thought that worked relatively well. But playing games with just individual Joy-Cons, I always felt like it just didn't feel quite right because of how small the controllers were, and I kind of felt like the control sticks were very fragile, which they were. Playing Galaxy 2 with the Joy-Cons, I feel like is the best way to play the game because you have the cursor, right? And technically you could do that on Switch 1 as well, but it's not fun holding those tiny Joy-Cons with those flimsy control sticks. On Switch 2, the controllers are larger, they're more ergonomic to hold, and the control sticks have a little bit more like draw, right? So there's a little bit more reach there, so they're more satisfying to play with. And I find that playing in that way, it actually works really well with the motion control aiming. I actually think it's the best way to play Galaxy 2, even more so than the Wii, because back on the Wii, you had a sensor bar, right? And you had to have it organized in a certain way. If you didn't have a good setup, it was a mess. But also, you would have to be pointed at the screen. On Switch 2 with motion controls, you can be seated on the couch, kind of laying down to the side, not pointing at the screen, but still aiming around with the motion controls effectively. So, point is, I think the controls are actually really good. I think the system's really comfortable. The screen's fantastic, and we've seen some pretty impressive games on the system. So, I have pretty much nothing but praise for the console.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm kind of in the same boat. My launch lineup was Mario Kart, Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. What else? I went out and bought Epic Mickey because it was one of like it was a Switch game that I wanted.
Was it a remake?
Yeah,
or a remaster?
it was. Well,
yeah,
I think it was closer to like the
remakester.
Yeah, somewhere in between. Okay. Which it was good. I enjoyed it. So I had that, Mario Kart, and Zelda, and Fortnite. That was my other one. Which, I mean, the thing that blew me away was how good Fortnite looked. Like, the first time I booted it up, I was like, are we sure? I'm sure that's not my Xbox. Like, my Xbox isn't on. Like, that's my... Okay, that's the Switch 2. All right. So, I have found myself... Because I upgraded a Switch 2 from a Switch OLED. And I was really concerned that, like, switching down from the OLED screen back to the LCD screen, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to like that. But then I found myself almost playing in handheld more than I was with Switch because the screen actually looks great. Like, the colors are great. It's very vibrant. And even when I play in bed, I feel like I have to turn it down because it's so bright. Like, and initially when I pulled it out of the box and like put the Joy-Cons on it, I held it and I was like, oh, this is huge. Like, compared to Switch. Like, and I didn't feel like I needed a grip, even though I had bought one and I had one. I didn't feel like I needed one. So the grip is helpful, but I don't have that initial like, oh my gosh, I need a grip or I can't play this thing in handheld. Because that's how I was with Switch. I had like my Satisfy grip, and if it wasn't in the grip, I was not playing it in handheld. Like, no way, Jose. I can't do it. Whereas with this, I don't have that. And I haven't gotten to test out mouse mode as much as I wanted to, just because I'm not used to it on Fortnite.
Drag Drive.
I never got it.
I like Drag Drive, but it's definitely... I don't want to use the pun that it's a drag, because it feels very insulting. But I mean, the game didn't review well for a reason. It's a lot of work, and I have struggled with being accurate with the movements.
Right, because it's like a lot of like motion.
Yeah, I do like it though. Like, I do like it. I like that it exists, and I'm glad I have it. Yeah, I like sometimes like using the cursor.
Yeah, I think that's the most use I've gotten out of it, is like going through the eShop or going through the menus or whatever.
I did play Cyberpunk in mouse mode a little bit.
It is a real time saver for putting in Wi-Fi passwords.
Oh,
that is where I found the most like speed use. Is like, I'll be putting something in, I'm like, nope, switch it sideways, bing, 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 like use it like an actual mouse and hit all the things and then flip it back up. I do like the ease of use of like taking it into mouse mode from just holding it.
Yeah.
And
very quick.
I think my only gripe with the Switch 2, which was rectified real quick, was the battery life was horrendous. Like the first week I had it. And I don't know if that's just because they had mass produced so many and they had sat in a factory for so long that the batteries just like didn't know how to charge properly. But then like after a week of just, all right, handheld for a couple hours, put it back in, handheld for a couple hours, like
you like train the battery or something.
Yeah, like once the battery got trained, it's been fine. Even like Hyrule Warriors that's running, 60 FPS, 1080p on the screen, like battery's fine. And I mean, I took it on an extended trip. I did a whole family trip over the summer and I never felt like the battery was an issue. And I put a ton of time into Mario Kart, Epic Mickey. Like, there is definitely a difference between playing a Switch 1 game battery life versus playing a Switch 2 game battery life.
Yeah.
Like, I could probably get 4 or 5 hours out of Epic Mickey, but only 3 out of Tears of the Kingdom. So there is, like, a difference there, but it was never a difference enough that I was like, oh, this is awful and horrendous. I have not gotten any new third-party games yet, just because there hasn't been one that's been like, oh my gosh, I need that. The only one so far was Persona 3 Reload, but I had literally just finished that on PS4, I think in April. So like right before Switch 2 came out. So I was like, well, I'm not really like ready to rebuy it yet.
Sure.
And like replay through it. So it's one of those like, I'll probably get it eventually, like closer to whenever, like I assume we'll get Persona 4 when that remake comes out. That they'll bring that to Switch, especially given they put Persona 3 Reload on there. So I'll get to that, but I am very excited for Final Fantasy. Because I've never played Final Fantasy 7. So that's like huge, my next, dude. Like, that's so excited. I've wanted to play it for so long, but then I had it on PS4 and I was going to get to it after Persona, but then they revealed Switch 2 and all the rumors started coming out about like, even before they revealed it, like, hey, we're going to get Final Fantasy 7 remake. It's coming. It's going to be there. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait and see. And then that April Direct, they showed it and I was like, all right, I don't need the PlayStation anymore. I'm good. So I just think that was good. Overall, also not many like complaints about Switch 2. Obviously I wish there was a little more
Are you mad
first party
all
support.
Your money?
No, actually. I had no qualms with the price of this console at all. Because $450 for just the base console still being cheaper before all of the tariffs and the price raises and all that, like still being the cheaper of the 3 console options out there
with Mario
between
Kart
like
World
Xbox and PlayStation. Yeah, and even when you add Mario Kart, it's only $500. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's
It's
fine.
$450 without Mario Kart. That's true. $500 is kind of. It's interesting just because we're not used to that for Nintendo, but also like inflation.
Yeah,
it is.
And also
a
like
real thing.
It's a nicer console. Like it feels nicer. It feels higher quality, and obviously, as you go up, like things are going to get more expensive. Like that's just, it is what it is. And even the Pro Controller being, what is it, like $90? It's like $85, $90 somewhere in there.
That. Yeah, everything is a little bit higher, but
this is the nicest controller I've ever used in my entire life. Like,
it doesn't, like if you're like sweating, right? Like it just disappears.
It doesn't stick to that controller in the same way that it does for like other things.
It stays smooth, but also grippy at the same time. It's a very interesting. I don't know what it is they did, but this is like the ultimate like grip.
Yeah, and the little like the programmable back buttons. I finally played through Future Connected on Definitive Edition, and I had those back buttons programmed. Like one was for sprint, the other one was to like quick open the map. Like it was so nice, and it made that so much more enjoyable.
I like it for Mario Kart World because it allows me to drift and press my gas. I think it's for I have gas on it, so I can press gas with that, and I can use my right. I don't have to press any of the face buttons, but I can use my right stick to turn the camera and shoot like items laterally, which you can do.
I didn't think about doing that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I'll have to try that.
Yeah,
that's good. Cool. But as for the price, I never felt like the price was unfair. I never felt like I was being swindled out of my money. The only thing is I don't think Mario Kart World is currently an $80 game. As much as I love Mario Kart World. I think it's fun. I've enjoyed
I agree.
Every second of it.
It should have been a $70 game.
Yeah, I just don't think
I got it for $50 basically because I got it digitally with the bundle, but I agree. It should probably have been $70.
The only reason I could see it being $80 is if, a year from now, 2 years from now, they drop like a free DLC roadmap or something. And it's like, oh, the $20 DLC was baked into the price, and now everyone gets this for free. That's the only way I could see them justifying that, because right now I'm like, so you want me to pay $20 more for like fractionally less content that's in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that was only $60. I mean, I guess it was 85 if you include the booster course pass.
Well, if you count,
but still,
if you count the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, right? That game had like 16 tracks to start, or was it? No, I think it started with 32. Started with 32 tracks and a terrible battle mode. Had some cheap DLC, I think like $12, right? And you could get up to 48 tracks or something.
Yeah.
But it did start off as a $60 game, right? I would say, I mean, Mario Kart World, it's not 32 tracks, it's like 30, but you also have an open world, and there's all the missions and the variations, like, and then there's a not just Grand Prix, but the knockout tours. Like, I would say Mario Kart World is definitely, there's more. We're talking about base game. Like, compare Mario Kart World base game to Mario Kart 8 base game on the Wii U, which I think people forget. Like, it was enhanced with all the DLC and extra stuff for the Switch version, which is what everyone played. But the initial version came out in 2014 for the Wii U. If we're talking about base package games, Mario Kart World kind of, like, totally trumps Mario Kart 8 content-wise.
Right.
So, yeah, if you compare it to 8 Deluxe, like I see where you're coming from. That has more.
Because I think that's the comparison most people make. Because to your point, the Switch one is the version that they played. Like that, far and away, is the most popular version of the game. I was not entirely sold on the open world. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is really boring," and there's not a ton to do. And then I did a stream, and I spent, I think, the last 45 minutes of the stream just riding the train. Like, I just parked myself on the roof of the train, and the train just took me all over the map, and
chill,
that was
dude.
it.
It's relaxing.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is it! I could do this." Like, I could get on the train. I found all kinds of different medallions and P-switches and the little things. I was like, oh, this is how they want you. Like, this is what they want you to do. They don't want you to just drive on the road throughout the city. They want you to get on the train, find a way to get up to that, cliff top platform, find a way to get on top of the plane, go out in the middle of the water. Like, I do think the open world is a little, it could use a little more to it, but I don't think it's entirely awful where it's at now. Like, if the game never got any updates, my only gripe would be that it's too expensive for what it is.
Sure.
Other than that, I think if it was even a $70 game, just to be consistent, right? Because now it's well, what's the next $80 game? Like, is this going to be the only $80 game? Like,
I hope it is.
I wonder if they'll take the backlash from Mario Kart 8 being, or not Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World being 80 and not do another $80 game. Like, maybe Age of Imprisonment was supposed to be an $80 game, and then they saw the backlash on Mario Kart, and they're like, let's just...
Age of Imprisonment shouldn't... That's a spinoff. Like, it really shouldn't be $80.
Right.
Like, that would... Mario Kart World is, like, the sequel to the best-selling Nintendo game in history.
Which is why it was $80. Like,
yeah,
that's why it was so expensive, because it's got the Mario Kart brand on it, and they can sell it.
Yeah, like Tears of the Kingdom got away with being $70 in the Switch era, which is extremely interesting. I know when that happened, I knew that the standard is gonna be 70. Like 80 is certainly a surprise. That said, if the next new 3D Zelda game is announced and it's $80, I'll buy it twice.
Yeah, there's certain games that, the next Xenoblade game's $80, I'm in.
Right.
Like, Xenoblade, Zelda,
But if the next Pokemon Snap is $80, I'm not so sure.
Which, that was kind of the thing this week, is, Pokopia was $70, and everyone's like, really? Like,
I don't
that game has not...
taken it.
That game got that got a double whammy of bad news this week.
Oh yeah,
even though
there's a lot of controversy, but I'll just say
I'm sure it'll be a good game, but it just got a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if it's Pokemon, it's inherently controversial, right? It doesn't have a super amazing visual arts. I mean, it's a simple art style, so it's not bad, it's just simple. But because of that, it's just not ambitious, blah blah blah. This, and then the whole game key card situation, and the game's only like 10 gigabytes. Like, why even? Like, it's not a big
like
game.
why even bother?
Right. So they're not doing themselves any favors. Like, I totally agree. The only thing I disagree with, and I'm not sure what your perspective is, so I'm not sure if maybe we don't disagree, but I don't think it's fair to say the game inherently should not be worth $70. We don't know what the game
That's
is.
true.
Right? I think some people are saying it because it's like it's a spin-off cozy game.
Right, like it's a spin-off sim, like it's not a mainline Pokemon game.
But genre, there should not be like price should not be tied to genre.
Right.
Is the game I mean, I just look at it from an economics perspective. Does a company think this is a good price for the game? Okay. Does the game sell well at that price? Okay. If it doesn't sell well, they didn't pick the right price for it. Now, sometimes they also do that based off the budget. They have a certain expectation of how much it'll, the companies have to make decisions on what they can get away with, like what's going to sell. Like, it's all just business at the end of the day, If something's overpriced, then you don't buy it.
Right.
I think 100%. It's really that simple.
That's it.
Yeah.
So. I want to loop back to that, but I will say no real issues with Switch 2. I think I've been enjoying the crap out of it. There was a period there between like Donkey Kong and when Zelda came out where it was really like that was the collecting dust phase. Just because like I wasn't playing it as much, but that's also because I was busy. That's not inherently like a fault of Switch 2. So that said, I feel like it's not fair to not talk about the controversy.
Which one?
So, yeah.
I think we've covered a lot already.
Yeah. Just to get it out of the way.
Okay.
What is your stance on game key cards? Because I know everybody and their mother's got to have an opinion about game key cards and how, if you support it, you're evil incarnate. Like
I guess I'm evil. I'm a bad person.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'll say this, like I think a lot of people are not giving game key cards enough credit. Because game key cards are inherently better than what the solution was last gen. Last gen was you buy a case and it has a digital code. You can't sell it. You can't trade it. Like once you scan it in, that's it. A game key card, at the very least, you can sell it. You can trade it. You can put it in one system and then put it in another. Like that's better. Then maybe it's not ideal. You rather have the whole game on the cartridge, and I agree that is ideal, but it's still better than what it was, and it is giving developers more options. Developers, people who actually make games, are defending this, right? And we're not talking about the business heads. There's the business heads that make business decisions, and then there are the developers that have to think about how to get their games to work and run on the device, right? So and a lot of developers have spoken highly of game key cards because it gives them more options. And also, I think about things from the perspective of just the inevitability that digital is going to continually become more of the main way to acquire and have games. Like, it's just an inevitability, right? So we can try and hold on to physical for as long as we want. And listen, I miss the 90s, right? I miss arcades. I miss Blockbuster. I don't like that these things are dying out. I don't like that GameStop is like kind of worthless now, pretty much. Like I used to love to go to GameStop. Now I don't see the point in it really, unless I'm buying a new console, which happens every 5 to 8 years or something, So I don't like that stuff, and I do like sometimes having something physical from a collector's perspective. I know a lot of people are also concerned about just actually owning the game. I know some people take a hard stance on that and they think it's like unethical that you just buy your right to play the game, which, you know, I get the distinction, but I also think about it from a practicality perspective of how much it's actually going to actually matter. Because from what I understand, I can still go back. Like if there's a game that I have downloaded, like you can still go back generations and re-download that game.
Yeah.
And I imagine for this era, now that Nintendo's unified their accounts, they have an established framework. There's more reason to think that what we're getting now, we'll be able to download if we delete or something even more years later.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't. There's no to play both sides. So there is no guarantee by Nintendo that you will always have the right to download it. So, and I think that that is something that I don't. I wonder if Nintendo hasn't said anything because they don't want to make any promises. And so that I understand that, but from a practicality perspective, like I download games digitally a lot just because it's easier. Like I don't like having to change out cartridges. Like if I have the space for it, I do it. If it's not a game that I want to have like a physical case for because I'm a big fan, and if I have a good micro SD card that holds enough space, like that's really it. Like I get cases if it's either A, something I just want to have for a collector's reason, or B, because like Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, for example. I bought that physically because the game is huge.
Right. Like
You know?
that's a big game.
Yeah. But you know, I support physical cartridges games lasting for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's basically the exact same boat I'm in. I was initially against the idea of like game key cards as a whole because I was like, well, what's the point? Like, it seems irrelevant. Like, at that point, I might as well just buy the digital. So I understand that side of the argument. But then the longer I thought about it, the more I like understood what the key card actually was, which this video they just put out about the key cards for Pokopia, that video should have gone out like direct day.
In June.
That should not have been a November.
Yeah.
Like that video should have long since come, because I think not having that proper explanation is what has led to this like snowball of most people don't actually understand what they're talking about. Like they think the key card is one thing when in actuality it is like this other thing. And I think it is a much like far greater alternative to the code in a box, because at the very least I'm getting a cartridge that I get to put in the game and it functions the same way as a cartridge. It just doesn't have any like game data on it. That's it. You can still take it back to GameStop and trade it. You can give it to your friend because they want to borrow your game. Like, but I also think we don't give Nintendo enough credit for adding in the virtual game sharing. Like, I've done that with my sister and my fiance. Like, you know, they both wanted to borrow games, and I said, okay, cool, I have these, I'm not playing them. Send out the virtual game card. Like, so I think even from that perspective, the key cards aren't that bad. Like, I'm also a huge proponent of physical media. Like, I've got all my Blu-rays and all my games, like, over there. Like, I'm a diehard physical media kind of guy. But I also think there is this inevitable, like, digital age that is encroaching but moving a little faster than I think anyone wants to admit. And if key cards are the in-between of, like, it still gives me something physical, but I have to still download it digitally, like, I'll take it. And honestly, in my mind, it's the exact same as, like, what PlayStation and Xbox have been doing
you have to
for
install.
years.
Like, you can't, like I think one of the issues is that not being able to play the game immediately. Like, that sucks. That sucks. You get a cartridge, you put it into your system, you're excited to play, and you can't. I hate that.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I understand the whole, like, well, you have to be connected to the internet to download. And I'm like, if you have a Switch 2 and you don't have Wi-Fi, that you are like 1% of Switch 2 owners. Like,
then you also can go to a Wi-Fi place.
Right, like you can go to
cafe.
Starbucks, Panera, like whatever, like a library.
Also, like if you're buying a Switch 2, it's a very expensive device, right? It's just kind of one of those, like, if internet's the standard these days, right? Like if you're on a budget and you can't afford to have internet, which that's pretty rare, you probably shouldn't be buying a $500 console.
Right.
I'm sure there's exceptions, there always are, but in that case, you only have to download it once. You can find free Wi-Fi out there.
Right. Like even if you got to sit there for a few hours, like you'll get it downloaded and then it's done.
Yeah.
So I don't think the key cards are that big of an issue. I think my bigger thing, and I would love to see, I don't know if they've published numbers on key card game sales, just because like none of them are first party. Like I think Pokopia would probably be the first game where we'd actually get like sales data from Nintendo on how key cards are selling. But I would just be interested to see, like, outside of the Twitter bubble, right? Outside of the internet sphere, how do people actually feel about key cards? Because every time they announce a key card, whether it's third party or Pokopia or whatever, there's always that person who's like, another game for me not to buy. And I'm like, that's great. But you don't need to, like, harass or belittle the people who do want to get it. Like, for some people, they don't care. Like, that's my boat. Like, I'm not going to let the fact that Final Fantasy VII is on a key card stop me from getting the game, because I want to play the game. Like, so I understand the physical side and the collection side of it, but also, like, let people spend their money how they want to spend their money. Like, you didn't work for my money, so why do you get to tell me or make me feel bad about how I spend it? So,
I mean, it's just internet nonsense, I think, for the most part. I think you heard about the sales numbers for Switch 2. It's the fastest selling console of all time still.
Yep.
By a few million. It's not even close. Now, we'll see how long that maintains. I'm not saying the Switch 2 is going to become the best selling console of all time, but it's currently pacing to be, right?
Yeah.
And so what does that tell us? That tells us that it's doing pretty good. And if you just looked at what people are saying on social media, you would be thinking the exact opposite. And so I think that does goes to show that these opinions we hear online are very much literally a vocal minority. I haven't seen the numbers on game key cards either, so I don't know how that part reflects, but it just kind of seems like, in general, a lot of the negative takes about the Switch 2, which seem really prevalent on social media, don't really seem to be reflective of how most people actually feel about the console.
Right.
Given the sales numbers.
I mean, that's like always how it is. Like, the internet is always a little, like, micro bubble of how, like, people actually feel, because everyone's like, well, Mario Kart World sucks, and then you like step outside of that and everyone's like having a great time and enjoying it and just like being chill, like having fun, playing as the cow. Like,
it's cute,
it's not that fun. Deep, it's not that serious. Like, it's also it's entertainment. Like, this is not, like, we're not talking real world politics here. This is the Nintendo Switch 2.
I think when we get so involved with these conversations, it becomes way too, like, stressful. Like, well, yeah, it's not politics. It's becoming politics, and it really shouldn't. These are video games. It's supposed to be an escape from the nonsense of reality. And, I'll tell you this. I don't know. I got to get my laundry. It's been done for a little bit, but I feel like, video games are supposed to be an escape. This is supposed to be a good, happy time. But the conversations about video games online as of late have become so, and I use this word for a video like a day or two ago, exhausting. It is exhausting. And it's just every day it's something else people just find to get really angry about. Like, a couple of days ago, people were mad about Pokopia. They were mad about Brie Larson being Rosalina, even though I think it's probably a good cast. And people were mad about the Desert and Metroid Prime 4 with no evidence that it's bad. They're just, I don't see everything I want in there, so therefore it's bad. And with this Direct, we got confirmation there's even more in the desert, like field bosses, right? at least a little bit. So you know, I just and now people are mad about the companions. Tomorrow's gonna be something else. You know,
there's always something. Like,
yeah,
someone's gonna be mad about something, and I think that's the. As we wrap up here, going in another long episode, longest in a while, but it's all good. Conversation's good. I think that's kind of the takeaway is like, if you are someone who wants to get Switch 2, you're not like an evil anti-consumer, like support the corporation type. You're just someone who wants to play video games, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I did not buy a Switch 2 because I'm like, yes, I want to support every single thing that Nintendo ever does. No, I wanted to get the Switch 2 because for the price they offered and everything they showed and all of the games that I know are out now and the full backwards compatibility of my Switch library into Switch 2 and the games that I know will come in the future, like a new Mario, a new Zelda, a new Xenoblade, like all of that, that seemed worth it to me. And I bought it, and I, put the money up there, and, I bought the stuff. So I think it's okay, and, like, video games do not have to, like, it should never be this serious. Like, it really is turning into like, people get as invested about video games as they do politics, and I think that's going to, if it doesn't stop, it's going to ruin the hobby as a whole.
It's ruining the dialogue online for me. I'll tell you that right now.
Because there you can't have nuance in your conversation anymore. You can't say, like, even like game key cards as an example, like you can't have a nuanced conversation about it. You either have to be staunchly against it or staunchly for it. And I'm like, what if I fall in the middle of like, yeah, I love collecting physical media and I don't like the all digital future that's coming, but I can also acknowledge that this is the best option that we have to get these third party games on Switch too. Like, yeah. So I want to see more nuance return to the conversation and not have
and
to
I
be
think,
so.
I feel like some people might like interpret what we're saying as saying, "Oh, how dare you have a negative opinion?" Like, no, it's not that. We're talking about nuance. Have opinions. We're all for that, but why does it have to be so angry and rageful and toxic? If you don't like that there are companions in Metroid Prime 4, or you're concerned, totally valid. You're used to Metroid Prime 4 having isolation. You're worried that it may take away from your immersion, having to worry about these other characters. It's a valid opinion to have, right? But if I'm excited for a cool cast to be involved with the story, that's also valid, right? And we'll have to kind of actually see what happens. It can be a reasonable conversation. It doesn't have to be, you are a complete garbage person for thinking different than me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to end on. That was a good, like, hopeful message to the internet. Not that they'll listen, but you can always hope.
You never know.
So as we end out here, Andres, I'll give you the floor. You can plug your channel, plug whatever you got coming up. The floor is yours. Whatever you would like to share.
Yeah. I talk about Nintendo pretty much every day. I'm going to be covering Metroid Prime 4 a great deal leading up to release. That's going to be my main focus, most likely. But I'll also tell you, the Zelda's 40th anniversary upon us next year. I kind of anticipate that as I kind of wrap up the Metroid Prime 4 conversations in December, there's going to be a lot more Zelda talk going into next year. And I mean, whatever else comes out. But yeah, a lot of Nintendo stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yep. And as I said at the beginning, it'll all be linked down in the description. You guys can check that out. As for us here, you know where to find us. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, the whole, like, all of it's linked in the description. You can just go there. For all of our lovely viewers, I will not be here next episode. At least I don't think. Assuming the schedule doesn't change between now and then, I will not be here, but Jackson will be back, and he also is bringing a special guest, and you guys aren't going to want to miss that because it's going to be a good episode. So that being said, thank you, Andres, for coming on. Great conversation. Talk about Switch 2.
Thanks for having me.
With that being said, I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.